the song we sing, feels the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, and you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, we will surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. I said, come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now.
Good morning. I'm Kim Chappell. I'm the worship associate for today, and I'm also the secretary of the UUCL Board of Trustees. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. Today is an important Islamic holy day, Eid al-Fitr, also known as the Festival of the Breaking of the Fast, as this day celebrates the end of Ramadan, a month of fasting. St. George's Day is also celebrated today in many European countries. In 1860, on this day, the Democratic Party convention began, and the party split over the issue of slavery. And in 1954, Hank Aaron hit the first of his 755 home runs. And in 1961, on this day, Judy Garland was the first woman to receive a Grammy for the recording of her concert in Carnegie Hall. Little decades-long update. Here we come together to nourish the spirit, connect in love, and act in justice. We welcome you this morning just as you are, whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify. Today, you are part of this spiritual community. And if this is your first time here, may you soon discover that this is also your spiritual community. As has become our custom, let us give a special welcome to all those joining us today on Zoom. I invite those on Zoom to turn on your camera and wave back. And everyone in the sanctuary, if you would turn and wave to the camera back there to welcome anyone there. Family, during our time together, please do what you need to do to feel fully present in this space. Move, sway, walk around. If doing something with your hands helps you feel present, please feel free to use the hands-on materials in the tables in the Women's Memorial Room in the back of the sanctuary. Families with toddlers are welcome to use the playroom during the service. All that we ask is that you leave it as you found it so that it's ready for the preschool co-op's use on Monday. You could even use your device and follow along with the service while you watch your little ones. Let us take a moment to consider this sacred space that we are now in and acknowledge the truth of the land beneath us. We are gathered on land once inhabited by people known as the Susquehannock and the Conestoga. We acknowledge the violent legacies of genocide, displacement, and settlement that led to our being here today, and remind ourselves to live humbly in relation to the land and with all the indigenous peoples who still live and love on this continent. Many indigenous people will say, all are relatives. May we live into this truth and aspiration together. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce our minister, the Reverend Patricia Guthman-Harash.
Good morning, everybody. Good to hear your voices. It's actually another reason why it's a special day. I really love the fact that Judy Garland, imagine how late was the first woman to receive a Grammy. But another thing to mention today is Stewardship Sunday, the day when we celebrate our gifts of time, talent, and treasure, and doing things together as a community. Together we can do more than we ever would do all by ourselves, right? And so with this thought in mind, I offer this prayer, this meditation. It comes from the late Reverend Kenneth Patton. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of friendships, a haven in trouble, an open room for the encouragement of our struggle. It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every single person. It offers a platform for a free voice, for declaring both in times of insecurity and danger, the full and undivided conflict of opinion, right? We never have differences of opinion, do we? No, it's okay. It's okay. It is the house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of searchers. It is a house of art, adorning its celebrations with melodies and handiworks. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present, in visions of growth and progress and goodness. This house is a cradle of our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavor. And that's what we're celebrating today. May it be so. And Eli, if you'd lead us in singing Building a New Way, it's in your teal hymnal, number 1017.
And this song in particular kind of rocks a little bit. So if your rhythm isn't quite the same as mine, that's okay. Sing it the way you feel comfortable. And we might even hear a little bit of a solo from Alan halfway through. We'll do the first 3 verses. You may rise if you would like to. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We're working. We are working to be free. You got it. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hating greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. Let's hear a little bit from Alan. Ready? Feel free to snap along or clap if you'd like. We have Diane on the djembe in the front. I invite you to change up verse 3 a little bit. Here we go. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love that is the seed. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Alan didn't. Diane Toygo.
And the last verse, peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We're building a new way. Yes? And this is the time in the service when, if you're a child in spirit or by age, you're welcome to join us up here. And Joanna's going to tell a story about our chalice, the chalice that we light when we start the service and that we extinguish when we meet. Means a lot of different things to people. And Joanna's going to share the story. I wonder what that means might be in this wonder box. I wonder what that might be.
Hi, everybody. Feel free to open that on up. You can each take one if you'd like. Wonderful. If you want to pass that, thank you. So today in the Sunday school, we'll be looking at this book, A Cup of Light, which is pretty cool. It's by Pamela Baxter, who used to be the director of Lifespan Faith Development at the congregation in Westchester, so about an hour drive from us. And it's illustrated by Terry Stratford. We'll look at that, some history of the chalice in the back. And so what that must be. What do you think?
A candle or a chalice?
Right, what I just said. Awesome. Yes, that is our flaming chalice, which is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, just like on the cover of our story. So, I don't know if you all know the history of our symbol, but it is really interesting and shows our commitment for acting for justice. So I will read some of that in the back. So before it became the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the flaming chalice was the symbol of the Unitarian Service Committee, or USC. And when it started in 1940, this group's most important mission was to rescue Jews from Europe. So the brand new USC, they needed a symbol that they could use, something like that used by the Red Cross. And they wanted a symbol of hope that said, we will help you, you can trust us. And the Jewish people who needed assistance came from many different countries. They spoke a lot of different languages. And the symbol had to be something that was easy to recognize. So the USC needed an official symbol for the documents they provided to people they were trying to help. And at that time, anyone traveling had to show proof of their identity. And anyone traveling with Jewish identification papers would be arrested. The USC hoped that if their fake documents had a symbol that looked important, no one would ask questions, and this way people could travel to safety. So the American Unitarian minister, Wade Sharp, and his wife, Martha, set up a USC office in Lisbon, Portugal, where another minister, Reverend Charles Joy, joined them. And there they met an artist named Hans Deutsch, who fled from his home in Austria. And Reverend Joy asked the artist if he could create a symbol for the group, and Deutsch designed what we have here, a chalice with a flame. And this symbol was made into a seal for papers, and USC volunteers wore badges bearing the emblem. To many people, the chalice with the flame represented, what kind of words do you think, given the story I just told? What would that chalice represent?
That's okay.
Sometimes we gotta think a little. What word would you use to describe it?
Church, young get love in the earth, peace and get peace and earth. Because he's in the well, know that? He's in the wine, in the well, all well.
Those are some great ones, yes. Some other ones are bravery, compassion, hope, and a way to safety. It is still the emblem for the USC, which is now what we call the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. And the group continues to bring help and hope to people around our world. And in 1961, the Unitarian and the Universalist churches decided to join together. And eventually they decided that they needed a symbol too. And the Universalists already had their own, a cross set to one side within a circle. And the Unitarian church, they did not have a symbol. So, what do you think they did? What became their symbol? Go ahead. Yes, what we lit this morning, right? The Unitarian Universalist Association officially adopted the flaming chalice as a symbol in 1976, and lighting a chalice started to become a part of many Unitarian Universalist services, like we do here every Sunday, and we also do upstairs in our classroom. So I will stop there, and we'll get to hear the rest of this book once we go on upstairs. Thanks, everybody.
So as they go off to their oh, there he is. I was like, where's Eli? Eli will lead us in singing.
It's number 1057 in your hymnal. If you'd like to follow along, it's Go Lift It Up. Ready? Go lift it up, love bless your way, moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day. Thank you.
I enjoyed hearing the story of the chalice. There's so much more that can be shared, but I will share, I don't know if the name, the Reverend Allison Cornish, who actually was Graham Capobianco's childhood minister. Her aunt was actually rescued by the Sharps from a Nazi-occupied territory and was a poet and an artist, I believe. So we still have in our Unitarian Universalist circles connections with people who were rescued by the Sharps. So there's a wonderful story about our chalice symbol. At this time, we go to that place in our center, that place where we connect with ourselves and everything else, our heart. And I'm going to share a prayer, a meditation from Rabbi Rami Shapiro. Whether you're struggling, whether people you love and know in your lives are struggling, whether you pay attention to the news and the media and your heart is sad for how so divided we seem as a nation, and your hope is for healing and compassion. I hope for you are words of comfort. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, counseled, and even, yes, ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours can be the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. May you feel it. May it be so. This is the time in the service where we lift up joys and sorrows and complex truths. I'll share some out loud, and Kim will plant stones as I do, and may we think of those stones setting roots and sending out tendrils of hope and love and maybe some celebrations. One thing that I wanted to share out loud, and then I'll invite you afterwards to come in silence to plant your own stones. One of the things, someone even remembered that last week I had shared that a friend of mine was sheltering in place in Sudan. And I didn't share, she's actually a Unitarian Universalist. And I was listening to the radio as I came here this morning and learned that the helicopters were taking State Department folks and government folks out of Sudan. So yes, hopefully, I can't wait to check her Facebook to make sure she's home safe, right? So I'm hoping that she and many others from the U.S. are on their way. So a stone for those, that joy, but also a stone for all those still suffering in the unrest in Sudan. May there be peace and settlement soon. May there be a leader that helps them toward a better way. A stone of gratitude that the Supreme Court for now did block a safe and effective FDA-approved drug, safer than aspirin, that's been around, that treats people not just for abortion, but for miscarriage, so that they don't suffer the complications of miscarriage. Joy for that for a while, but the struggle still continues for people to be in power of their own sacred body, right? A stone of sadness, as in the House of Representatives, as well as many state houses where there are laws that go against and don't protect one of the most vulnerable groups within our nation and the world, transgender youth and children, who are the most bullied, who are the higher percentage of youth who suffer from mental health and suicide. You know, even the Bible said the least of these, right? Those who are the most vulnerable. May we protect and not punish. So a stone for that complex truth. May we lead with compassion in our hearts and with action. This is the time, whether you're in the Zoom world and have your own stones and water and soil or sand, for those of you here who have joys and sorrows resting in your hearts, I invite you now, if you wish in silence, to come forward and rest a stone in the sand. Let us take just a little more time, just another moment in holding this precious moment in silence. Let us think about those joys, sorrows, complex truths said aloud, those that were weighing on people's hearts as they left their stones in the sand. May we think of those in our closest circle. May we think of all those circles beyond us in the community, the world, everywhere. May we hold those circles, those people, those creatures, this earth, those hurting, those celebrating, those loving, those with beating hearts. May we hold all that and be still together. Let us be silent for a moment together. So again, it's Stewardship Sunday. And I think everybody has their own thing about money, right? I mean, we all have our own thing about money. But I think what's amazing to me is the history of our Unitarian Universalist congregations, the Unitarians before us, the Universalists before us. There's just a few of those voluntary associations and congregations that don't get money on high, right? We don't have some organization that gives us money, as some other denominations do. But that also means we don't have some council somewhere that tells us what to do either. You know, if someone gives you money, they get to tell you what to do with it, right? And how you're supposed to govern yourself. We are a free congregation. You all get to decide who you hire to be your minister. You get to decide how you organize yourself. You get to decide what you're going to do in the community, what's important to you, how you live out your values together. It's all up to you. You support yourself. Everything that has come to be in this beautiful space, the music, if you like your minister, all this stuff comes from you and you together and the people before you. In this space, we're very conscious of who before us, because of what they offered in their time, their talent, their treasure, made our lives together in this congregation possible, right? That's Stewardship Sunday. And in many UU congregations that I've been part of, they have a tradition of realizing this is the time when people express their gratitude for being here. And a way in which they do it is by sharing. And so some of the congregations I've been in before this is a day, and I invited some of our leadership to come forward. Some will come in silence and will leave their annual pledge, will leave their promise for the year in the basket, and some will come forward and say why it is we give today. And so why don't we go ahead and we'll have a little accompaniment as some who knew and were prepared can come forward and share their pledge, and as you wish, those who were prepared to share some words.
Campbell. I'm on the board, and I am grateful to share my time, my talent, and my treasure for the church that I believe in. I certainly believe in our mission, and I am totally enriched by all the associations I have with people in the church.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is George Herreiser. When I think of UUCL, there's three words or ideas that come to my mind. Those ideas are 1, community and connection, 2, learning, and 3, action. For the idea of community and connection, when most individuals look to get involved in a church, they want to be a community of like-minded individuals who can give them a sense of belonging and connection, and to be able in this community to have a very liberal religion. The most recent successfulness of the auction is one source of connection. Many of the auction items involve food, whether that be a pizza smackdown, a summer picnic, or, as my wife's own idea, of a themed gathering, Groundhogs, Grubs, and Games, which is held in the beginning of February. I've been involved in many small groups here at UUCL and also with dinner go-rounds. Community connection just doesn't center around food. I've developed deep connections with many individuals in my Soul Matters group. That leads me to my second idea of learning. Soul Matters gives me the opportunity to learn about others at UUCL in a very deep and personal way. Dinner go-rounds have been a time and a place of many stimulating conversations on current affairs, politics, and even what the newest restaurant is in town, food. The learning that has taken place for me has come in many ways too. I had the opportunity of learning about Unitarian Universalist from the young people in the lifespan faith development classes that I facilitated as our boys were growing up in the church. Learning here is not just a rote learning that I had in my church of youth. We have different sources to challenge our thinking. I've been challenged in my own thinking and learning in a book discussion on death and dying. I've been humbled by coming to a greater understanding of my white privilege as a heterosexual white male in today's society. I've been challenged by different speakers on a Sunday morning and also by the teens during a youth group Sunday service. That leads me to my third idea of action. Here at UUCL, we talk about the concept of ministry. Our actions are our ministry. I have come to learn here at UUCL that I have taken action here at UUCL in the silent sidewalk watches supporting Black Lives Matter, walking and attending the Race Against Racism, and also being a worship associate. The idea of action being our ministry was certainly helpful to me as a member of our Board of Trustees, and especially as president leading this congregation through a very difficult period of time. Our actions are our ministry. The idea of community connection, learning, and actions are what brought me here to UUCL. They are what sustains me and continues to move me forward. Thank you.
Steve Jones of the board is traveling right now and had these words to share. I'm drawn to the fact that we are a covenantal church and not a creedal church that insists on belief in a particular dogma. We accept the reality that it is perfectly normal for humans to express their spirituality in many different ways, and we support each other in doing so. I'm also drawn to this church because we are proud of our liberal values and attempt to live out those values in an oppressively conservative community. Our church community is an important part of my life. I'm retired and have other commitments and enjoy leisure and travel opportunities, but I try to attend Sunday morning open table class and worship services as often as possible, and am proud to be able to serve our church on the Board of Trustees.
We all are grateful today for the many gifts that people bring this place, again, of time, talent, and treasure. Financial support, compassion, rich relationships, working together for justice, learning together, growing together in our own spiritual journey. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. And I think we're going to hear from the choir.
Good morning. My name is Eli. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm the choir director and kind of technical arts director here at the church. As the choir makes their way up, boy, do we invite you to sing along today. Is anyone familiar with the Allman Brothers? Not the Almond Brothers, but the Allman Brothers. We have a fun tune for you. We have Alan Dinnan on the piano, Tim Snyder joining me on the cajon, and Stock Weinstock on the bass. Move or feel free to do anything that you feel in this moment, right? Smile, smile, smile. People, can you feel it? Love is everywhere. People, can you hear it? The song is in the air. We're in a revolution. Don't you know we're right? Everyone is singing
The following story is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to real people, events, and places, well, it isn't exactly coincidental, but the author has taken great license with it for your enjoyment and inspiration.
Before I tell the story, I just got to say, do we hear enough these days? Are we reminded enough that love is everywhere? Let's keep it going and bring that out into the street, right? And also, Kim reminded me, I had shared with the board that Stewardship Sunday, among ministers, we call that day the day that we give the sermon on the amount. I'm not going to give a sermon on the amount. I'm going to tell a story, and again, any appearance that these are real people and real events is just coincidental, but I've taken great license. And there was a wonderful story I would read to my son called Bear's All-Night Party. And it's going to be a little participatory. We're not going to challenge you with all the musical parts, we might. But from time to time, we're going to call on you to help us sing the chorus. The words are in your order of service. So here's the story. So late one night, on a night before a full moon, a new enthusiastic congregational leader of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of somewhere, Pennsylvania, was on her device, as usual, right? Going on her device. Do most of us look like this these days, right? And she was thinking about all those good folks at the UU of somewhere. And she was thinking of the beautiful neighborhood where they were. And she was thinking, I just want to open all of our doors to everybody and have all of them come on in. And how can we bring them in? What would be a thing? And she wondered what might draw people together of all ages, of all backgrounds, of all means. And something that maybe might raise a little money towards the purpose of this congregation. And on her device, up popped out a message that in her community, you could get grant money for a neighborhood block party. A block party. Yeah, block party. We'll have music and treats and activities for all ages. It will be an all-night block party. See, this is where it's just, we're not having an all-night block party. This is just coincidental. Okay. And the next day, the very enthusiastic congregational leader ran into the treasurer, and she said to him, maybe there could be face painting and pretzels, and because it is, Lancaster, could be pretzels, and there could maybe potato pancakes, right, and popcorn, and maybe a band with the talented musicians from the congregation. Maybe we'll have our swag, right, that has our symbol, our chalice on it that we could have, and brochures about the congregation. We'll let the local paper know. Well, the treasurer has a job to do, right? And the treasurer said, I don't think there's enough money, right? It will cost money. Yeah. And she said, grants are available. Well, it won't be enough, said the treasurer. And who will come from the neighborhood anyway? Well, so sure of her idea, she said, you never know what might happen, right? And the leader, this young leader, was involved in everything, and she was even an alto in the choir. And as she started to get the conversation going and inviting people, she made up a little song, and she sang it to the music director, and the music director taught the chorus. So if you pull out your order of service, maybe Eli, can you share that song she taught?
Sure. It goes a little something like this. Ready? Here we go. Come on out and play with me. Come on out now, let's build community. The moon will shine till the light of day. So come on out and play. And come on out and play.
Should we try it?
Okay, let's try it once. Hear it? 1, a 2, a 1, 2. Come on out and play with me. Come on out, let's build community. The moon will shine to the light of day. So come on out and play. So come on out and play.
Well, after hearing the intent behind the song, one of the choir members, a member of long standing, said, well, the song is nice and all, but there's no way we can make this happen. We've tried pancake breakfasts and bake sales and yard sales, all those things before. It will never work, and we don't have enough volunteers anyway. And the young leader said, you never know what might happen. And she went on delivering the message and singing,
come on out and play with me. Come on out now, let's build community. The moon will shine to the light of day. So come on out and play. So come on out and play.
And the operations team chair thought it was a noble idea, but he hoped if any money was raised, it could really go to shore up the maintenance reserve fund, right? Now that would be a practical goal. What day will it be? Oh, I think I'm busy. Well, the curmudgeon founder, because every congregation has at least one curmudgeon. I'm not naming any names, and never will I, right? And the curmudgeon said, oh, to the young leader, there you are. I wanted to find you and let you know my opinion, because curmudgeons like to share their opinion. I don't know how else to say it, but who needs a party? We shouldn't be having fun. There's work to do. The whole thing about playing first and then figuring out all the business later, well, it's not very practical. Well, she said to the curmudgeon, you never know what might happen. And she told the Faith Development Committee co-chairs, and they said, well, with some children's activities, the families, well, they might come. It might work. And she was reminded that the UU congregation of somewhere in Pennsylvania had an art installation to dedicate. And maybe both things could happen together. Well, hearing some support, finally, the young leader said, okay, everybody, let's do it. Even if just a few people come, it will still be a good time. You never know what might happen. Notifications went out, they spruced up the place, they set up chairs and tables and a tent, they strung up lights and got a popcorn maker and soft drinks and hired an ice cream wagon. The band set up, they all practiced the new song. And as the sun went down, the young leader and the volunteers waited. It grew darker and darker. But you know, it was the night of a full moon, right? They turned on just a few lights because the stars came out one by one and the moon started to light everything up. The full moon brilliantly rose through the trees and over the houses and buildings. Still no one came. Finally, the young leader took the microphone in front of the band and said, well, let the all-night party begin. And those few who were there started to sing their new song together.
Come on out and play with me. Come on out, let's build community. The moon will shine till the light of day. So come on out and play. So come on out and play.
Now the treasurer happened to be driving by. The lights were on, a band was playing, and miraculously, he found a parking spot. He parked quickly, better grab that one, right? And he rushed to the scene and he said, hey, what's all the racket? I saw the lights on, I didn't remember that a rental was booked. Oh, yeah. You're not having that all-night block party, are you? Well, let's sing.
Come on out and play with me. Come on out now, let's build community. The moon will shine to the light of day. So come on out and play. So come on out and play.
Well, wouldn't you know, the choir member who had poo-pooed the idea before came by and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And said to the treasurer, "I'm surprised to see you here." And he replied, "Oh, I'm not really here. I'm just making sure everything's okay and just doesn't get too wild and stays within budget. But that popcorn sure does smell good." The operations chair showed up and said, "Well, as long as you're having the party, would you like some help?" Because the operations chair is a very helpful person. Moving tables or anything, I can help. Tech support. And families came, and eventually the art installation was dedicated, and neighbors arrived, and people were singing and dancing together. The curmudgeon was passing out packets to folks interested in visiting on Sunday, and said to the young leader, "It wasn't a bad idea after all." Let's sing one more time.
Come on out and play with me. Come on out now, let's build community. The moon will shine to the light of day. So come on out and play. Come on out and play.
Yes. You never know what will happen when heads and hands and hearts get together. These words are from the Reverend Mary Frances Cummer. May we give thanks for the breath of life, ever mindful of the fragile nature of existence. May we live fully in each moment, from summer to fall and winter to spring. Here we gather in mystery and in the bonds of beloved community. May we radiate love both within and beyond these walls, this day and all the days to come, caring for those we love and those we have never met. And in the words of the late Reverend Carl Seberg, let us keep the channels open and free so not to obstruct purposes greater than our own. Let us keep our minds set upon the high goals that here bind us into one sharing fellowship of loving hearts. For when we get together as community, you never know what might happen. Let's keep singing and playing together. So next, let us sing A Place in the Choir, right? And the words are in your order of service. We're going to ask you to join in with the chorus. So let her rip, Eli.
Song starts off with the chorus. Alan, if you can bring us in. Here we go. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or pause for anything they got. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud from the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or pause for anything they got now. Here we go. Listen to the top where the little bird sings on the melodies with the high notes ringing in. The hoot owl cries over everything and the blackbird disagrees. Singing in the nighttime, singing in the day, and the little duck quacks, he's on his way, and the otter hasn't got much to say, and the porcupine talks to himself, and all God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud from the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or pause for anything they got now. got now. It's a simple song, a living song everywhere, by the ox, the fox, and the grizzly bear, the dopey alligator and the hawk above, and the sly old weasel and the turtle dove. Last time, ready? All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud from the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or paws or everything they got. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud from the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud from the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Reverend Pat.
This is the time in our service when we will pass the plate and accept your offerings. You may also go to our website to make a donation online. A portion of the offering will be shared this month with the Lancaster Cleft Palate Clinic. Established in 1938, it is the oldest clinic in the world that's devoted to the comprehensive care of children born with cleft lips and palates and other craniofacial abnormalities, regardless of their ability to pay. Before we pass the plate, let us read in unison the affirmation of faith that you'll find in the front of your gray hymnal, and I think it will appear in the Zoom chat as well. First in English and then in Spanish. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es el sueño. Este es nuestro gran pacto, el convivir unidos en paz, el buscar la verdad en amor, y ayudarnos unos a los otros. While the plates are being passed, I'll be making some announcements, and following the announcements, if there's time, feel free to greet your neighbors in the pew in front of and behind you. Do look to our weekly newsletter, the Love Letter, that's on email, for weekly need-to-knows and events at UUCL, as well as on our Facebook page and website calendar. To thank you for the gifts that you just gave. They're freely given, and we dedicate them to the work and aspirations of this congregation.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you for the wonderful music. As Kim extinguishes our chalice, I will read words adapted from my good friend Andy, the Reverend Dr. Andy Pakula, who just recently retired, but he served 2 congregations at the same time in England just recently. Here's Andy's words. As you prepare to leave this sacred space, pack away a piece of this congregation in your heart. Wrap it carefully like a precious gem. Carry it with you through the joys and sorrows of your days. Let its gentle glow strengthen you, warm you, remind you of all that is good and true until we gather again, here again, in this place of love, or if we gather at the pavilion or someplace else too. Go in peace, go in joy, go in love, and I hope to see you soon at the reception. May it be so.